And what does that mean for me? Make it wider, because if
It's already gone. Record to the computer.
yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome. Hold on. Let me see. My sound is going for the other one. There. Let's stop that. Awesome. So, welcome. Here we are doing an impromptu live stream and recording on the topic of tension. And I love that I have Anna in the room with me. She is one of my dear friends, close to my heart. And we have had many years of these conversations on a very intense basis on all the spiritual things and all the fine tuning and all the hiccups and mishaps and glitches over time. And we have evolved so much as a result of it. And so today we're getting better at hitting that record button and live
Yep.
streaming
Yep.
so that you all get in on the magic as it happens live. So welcome, Anna. Welcome to this space.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad we're here.
Yes. Yes.
So you were fine tuning my topic and I'd already hit live. So what was it that you were saying?
Well, you were saying that how I can apply it in my business or something like this. And I was
Yes,
saying, well,
tension.
because it could be in relationships, it can be in other areas. So for someone who might not be self-employed, someone who might be employed might
Yes.
feel that it's not relevant to them, but it's actually relevant for everyone.
Yes. So my normal way of trying to encompass this, I would say business and life.
Yeah.
And I decided to put business and stop there because I know it will evolve anyway. And
Yeah.
if it is that you have already met Anna or I in any space, you will know that we believe there is no separation between who you are as a person in your personal life and your business. It's seamless.
Yeah.
So in a way, it felt like business, all right, enough, and all of it will show up anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
so so I love your fine tuning because you're quite accurate with that, and I realize it's for us to also state that as one of our standards, that this is how we operate, this is what it means, this is the truth if you're coming into our space. So
Yeah.
hit the ground running with that.
I don't know.
Yes, that's no, I said we hit the ground running with because
Yeah. Yeah.
we started this
Yeah.
conversation with what we know to be true.
Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to share with Anna, and I didn't want to make it many conversations, so you all are benefiting from it as well. So, when we talk about energetic tension, because that's the topic for today, what does that really mean? And what has been our previous understanding of tension, right? So, let's start there because I believe there's a lot of connotation around tension to the extent that we shouldn't have any. So, Anna, can you share your perception on tension, especially because you do so much work with the body?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that came to mind as you said it, like previously, I would have thought that tension, it's an uncomfortable thing. Like there's tension in the air, and then it's not a good thing. It's
Yes.
like something is not clicking. Something is not, like, you're not on the same frequency, you're not connecting, and therefore there's tension, and it's like the tension in such a way that it's pulling you apart rather than pulling you or pushing you apart rather than pulling you together. Right? So that's, I think that was intuitively what I heard when you talked about previous um, definitions, not definition, but understanding, comprehension of what tension mean, or what I used to make it mean.
Mm. And even as you say that, I can see the fine tuning of that definition. Like you say that, and there's a part that goes, yes, that is true. However, this is what it really means, you
Yeah.
know? So if we take
Okay.
what,
So let me just add then. So the reason why for me in that case that was not a good thing is because I would avoid conflict.
yes,
And tension would be something that could lead to conflict. So therefore my previous definition would be that it's not a good thing. So let me just
mm,
add that fine tuning.
yes. And I love that you pointed out the avoiding conflict, because
Mm.
tension can lead to conflict, or tension can come from conflict, right? Like you didn't expect the conflict to happen and then there's tension.
Yeah.
So in either case, that's one way in which it shows up. And I am hearing so many things as you speak of all of this. So let me say them. Well, first of all, the reason why it shows up in that situation, it's because there was something that was being unearthed, created in that moment, something that's being birthed. And if we're not intuitive, if we're not using our intuitive side to see what that is and to step into that playground, because we are not honoring that portal and that call for the new thing that's happening, it creates friction, right? Because we're like resisting it. And therefore, in order for that to really get our attention, it will burst into something that feels really uncomfortable, which is the tension that we're talking about, right? So it now is created in a space where it's in your face. You can't run and avoid it anymore. And so as humans, normally that's the only way we recognize or pay attention to something, if we miss the tension in its first birthing space, right? I mean, if you think about anyone who has gone through labor and that process of birthing a baby, there's a lot of discomfort and uncomfortable feelings in that process, right? It doesn't have to be as dramatic, and it doesn't have to be. Um, you can't sit there and be like, oh, everything was so easy. I had no idea. You know, it's just that you recognize that you're going through this process, and it feels a little not who you are. Even in that way, it's a bit of a discomfort,
To say
right?
the
It's like,
least.
right, to say the least. Like,
Yeah.
because I know some people can go like, but I had the most amazing pregnancy. I had no discomfort. Like, that's not the point here. The discomfort is not like a bad energy or that kind of thing. It could just be like, that doesn't feel quite right. I've never had that feeling before. That is also discomfort, right? And so you get to gauge the level of discomfort that is required for you to make that shift, to step into the thing that's really calling you forward, or you know um the thing that you're meant to create, right? So that's one part that I heard for the latter part of what you said in the avoiding. And coming back to your definition about the it being uncomfortable, I believe tension is exactly that, right? It is uncomfortable, and you may face it over and over again, to the point where you recognize, aha, this is tension. It's still uncomfortable. Right? I don't think that would change. As
Yeah.
much as you face it a million times, you will recognize, huh, here we are. Okay, right? But what you're really changing is the level of awareness and the level of acceptance, right? Because if that's a greater time period as well, it's you're torturing yourself, right? You can do that, or you can, yes. So, and the gift of that, right? The gift of tension is really to raise your awareness. That's one gift, the
Yeah.
beginning of it. The second gift is exactly what you said again, Anna. So you if you really tune into what Anna said in the beginning, right? The way I heard it was, here you are, and here is where you want to be, you know? The space between that is tension,
For sure.
right? And you can choose to drive yourself crazy with it, right? I'm not getting what I want because I expect it in this way, right?
Yeah.
Or you can choose to navigate what that means. Because by default, because it feels uncomfortable, we unconsciously want to close that gap. And we do it to the detriment of our desire. Like the discomfort of that feeling can be so strong, we would rather close the gap to get rid of that feeling than to get our desire, knowing that that feeling is tied in with the manifestation of our desire.
Well, I don't think we exactly close the gap, because I think we just want to, like, we know we're here. Sometimes we know or may not know that this is our desire, but we feel the tension, and I think that we don't necessarily close the gap, but I think we want to get rid of the tension, which still leaves us here, right? So
We
I think,
collapse it. I think collapse would be a better choice of word than close the gap because we're dropping that tension.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, yeah.
Yes, I agree.
So which still leaves us in a different place than our desires.
Yes.
So I think that's where we start, like, um justifying and protecting us, in like we're playing different mind games rather than holding the tension, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
When we start telling ourselves a lot of things like, ooh, but I can't really have that, or is it really what I want, and other things come up rather than the tension that is required to get ourselves to this place. Because I agree that the tension, the gap, is really good at creating awareness. This is where you're at, this is where you want to be. It's like,
Yes.
oh, but this is not where I want to be, so I do want to be here. So I feel the tension is an can be a motivator, inspiring thing, however you choose to see that,
Mhm.
to take action, to do the scary thing, which is like the leap, to do the thing.
I love that I'm talking to you because I'm hearing us finding different ways in which tension can be defined and how people use it.
Mm.
And yet it's almost as if when you're using the English dictionary and you look for the meaning of a word and then it has five different meanings.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. And it's sometimes not even correlating with each other. And you're like, what? If I use it this way, it means that. And if I use it that way, it means this. Okay. So that's what I'm hearing because, yes, the tension can be used as a motivator. Um, and again, I'm sure many of us have done it in this way. And going even deeper with it as a fine tuning for energetic tension, in that space, it's not meant to be a motivator. It becomes an energy of this is what it is. It's kind of the visual that I'd use here. Do you pick up a map? There's a theme park or something, and there's a map, and there are many different teams or whatever rides you want to go on. So you're looking at it, you get clear on your desires. Okay, this is what I want. Okay, fine. This is what we're doing. We're going to go through that door, right? And so there's a clarity before you make that decision. I mean, if it is that you're doing it from the high level awareness, right? You're not being thrown into it and suddenly there's tension and you're like, what the heck is happening? So you're choosing from a conscious point and you step into that portal or that door and and now you know that you're going on a journey to the outcome of whatever that journey is. Um, and so it becomes an energy of this is what is. It's not like, oh, I've stepped into the horror house. How on earth am I going to get out of this one? You know, right? And you try to collapse that. Be like, no, 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 I don't want this experience. I don't want to face these things, right? um, it's more like, oh, this is what we're doing, right? This is one way in which it looks like. I wasn't aware it can look like this. However, it doesn't deter you from the finish line, right? So the energy can become this is what it is. It has nothing to do with your mental tension or your tension in your body or anything like that. This is just an energetic tension that shows up in your choices in the game of life. Um, and so the magic of manifesting with that energy is as you go through the journey, we're going to use a horror house here. As you go through all of that, you are remembering why you're here in the first place. Like you're remembering the finish line, not from a place of, I shouldn't be here. That is what I want. You know, it's just that, oh, this is the experience I've chosen. This is one of the paths through it. I've chosen to put myself into this one, right? And I'm going through it. And, you know, really facing and embracing all the unexpected things and the magic and the, you know, amazement of this space, as I also know that I'm getting closer to that finish line.
Mm.
Yeah. What's coming up for you?
There was one word you said. I was like, huh. I think I would have chosen another word. So you said,
Yes, go ahead.
you said in the energy of manifestation. And I was like,
Hmm.
yeah. And I would choose the word creation, because when you do it consciously, you choose, this is what I want. So you choose, even though we in our human version may not agree that we have chosen certain experiences in our life, in our human life.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, this is why I love Anna, because the words that we're using to describe things, there is a definition that you're already aware of, and then the way we use it, it's a bit on a higher level. So in using the term manifestation, the foundation for us is that we are creating our realities. And this might be your foundation as well, as a concept that you embrace, like, yes, I am the creator of my reality. But when we are going through it, if we're feeling like something is being done to us, or we are a victim of circumstances, um, it's not us being in the space of I am a creator of my reality. So the starting point of choosing to step into that portal, that is for me is creator. And then you take yourself through this journey, but you've already set into motion the dynamics of what this path looks like, right? And then you, like what I was mentioning, the unexpected things, when those things come up, it's not showing up to deter you from your path, but it's actually showing up to for you to keep consciously choosing that energy towards the finish line, right? So it is a choice, and you're right with that. And yet it's you manifesting and you being part of the manifestation.
Yeah.
That's what's happening in the journey, right? But it's not that you are a victim of anything, because you're the one choosing. Even choices are being made even if you're not aware of them. So when that happens, it would be default choices. It would be like, oh, we're having ice cream. You have the flat flavors, vanilla, basic things, vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. Those are default things that can happen. And you're like, oh, ice cream, okay. But it's not really what I want. And then it helps you to really fine tune to be like, no, I want it extravagant with all the things, or I want it like really luxurious, but this much. I don't need all of that, and you get to change your choices and experiences at different time because you're always the one creating your experiences, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, because some of the things in your reality you'd be like, no, I didn't create that,
Yep.
right? Or that's
especially
not
if
what I.
it's especially if it's one of those situations that I was talking about in the beginning that felt like tensions, like, what, did I create this? No, but I don't want this, right?
Yes, yes. And again, I believe it's just a nudge for higher awareness. Like, well, how did I create this? Or, um,
Instead of saying, why is this happening to me?
yes,
Right.
yes, yes. The other thing is that we say is, um, I attracted this, right? But that's not full responsibility either.
I was going to say that the word responsibility is really important in this conversation,
Yeah,
because as a creator, you are responsible for the things. But when you attract or manifest things, it's like, ooh, my energy must have been not good if I attracted these things, right?
yes,
Rather than saying, I chose this because I
yes,
wanted to, whatever the thing was, to learn, to see from it.
yes. Can you share how you sometimes choose to see how strong and how strong you are in a situation? What does
Oh,
that look like?
I'm creating lots of messiness in my life for sure. Around me, yes. I'm I am certainly attracting the best of the best in whatever the thing is. And it can be certainly very challenging where I'm like, why? Yeah.
Right. So I'm glad you use the word messy because again, that's how it would look to somebody who doesn't see the dynamics.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I have recognized for you, Anna, it's like when you create these situations and you put them into motion, it's as if you're like, all right, I see there are three soul lessons in there for me. Let me take on 10 of them, right? Make sure I really get it right from all the angles so that when I'm done with this is done. We're really moving on. It's not even to the next chapter, but to the next book. What's the next story, right? What's the next journey? And so you really do that because you love playing. The truth, the flip side of that is that you love playing with that big energy.
Yeah.
Your soul frequency is about expansion. So then
Mm.
how else would it show up for you? You know,
Yeah.
and if it is that you choose to perceive it from the victim energy that we were talking about earlier, then that can be really overwhelming. You're like, it looks as if God doesn't love me. It might, I mean, those are not words that you use, but for somebody, those might be their choice of words because it can be so big and so strong and so, in a way, you feel pushed and pressured to really move that thing and to face all the things, however it's showing up for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so again, this is where if we're not aware, we can misinterpret what's really happening in the dynamics of our life and how it's really meant to serve us and how we chose this sort of creation so that we can step more into who we truly are, right?
Yeah.
In showing that to ourselves and to the world,
Mm.
right? Who
Yeah.
we are is already there. It's just uh, our ability to navigate that while also choosing to be human, right?
Exactly.
To
Yeah.
have the human experience. And then how does the human and the way in which the human is encoded to operate on this planet, how does it handle that big energy from you, your higher self, working through the human body as being a human being, right? Human and being. Um, so that combination and what does it look like? So that's the bigger game that we're playing, and then we're making these other choices along the way to have the experiences that we truly want to have, right? Say, okay, while I'm a human being, this is what I want to create, this is what I want it to look like, This is how I want it to be done. And we start fine tuning, right? This
Mm.
is what I'm choosing to be my standards. This is what I'm choosing to, uh, this is this is the fine tuning of the experience, right? It's kind of like the ice cream again. Yeah, I've had ice cream many times, but I want it this way now. All right.
Mm.
And we
Yeah.
start really going deep with that. Did I
Mm.
freeze for a moment?
No, I
Oh,
well, it was super briefly, but it went back. Yeah.
okay,
I don't know
cool.
if it's my connection is sometimes slightly bit wobbly. But as you were talking, and I was thinking about tension again, back to the concept that we were talking about. I mean, we're circling like around it, and everything is connected. And I was thinking about how I have now taken on a challenge to really hold even more tension in my body.
Mm-hmm.
So in a while, I'm going to be doing a competition where I need to hold tension for a really long time, and that means full body tension for maybe 10-15 minutes, which is a really, 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 really long time to hold all sorts of muscles that you may not even be aware that you have, or that you definitely not use in your everyday life in a normal way. And I was thinking about that just as you were speaking previously. I'm like, that is also, I mean, tension can be done in can be experienced in many different ways.
Yes,
We
yes,
can have physical tension in our bodies. When we exercise, there's no way we can have our bodies be stronger if we don't hold the physical tension, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I giggled because I connected the dots on something that you were saying. It's so amusing because when you started sharing this experience,
Mm.
I was thinking that you were gonna also share. Well, you started this journey, um, like you started this what months ago. How long is it? It's not even a month, is it?
Oh, no. It's what, 2-3 weeks ago? Yeah.
Yeah. So within the last 2 to 3 weeks, you started
Mm.
this journey, and you're officially ending it in October, I believe. If am I
October,
correct?
November, sometime. Yeah.
Okay, so around October.
We are now in the end of January 2020.
Yes,
For whenever this video is seen.
whatever you're looking at it, yes.
Yeah.
So that is the timeline for the portal that you've opened to go through this experience. And so you've already created tension.
Mm.
However, to my point of what I said, when Anna does it, like she doubles and triples the whole soul lesson. So the thing that she's doing within that timeline, it's also for her to hold tension in her body, right? So not only is she having this particular desire, but she's also holding tension in her body. And she has to hold it for 15 minutes, which is beyond the normal time frame of anybody, even doing any kind of exercises would do,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So and then she's doing it publicly, she's doing it on stage, she's doing it for a competition. Do you ladies and gentlemen see how what I mean when when she compounds the challenge, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna really do it, and I'm gonna take it all the way, and it's gonna be that kind of thing. Case in
Yep.
point.
It's so funny.
Yes.
So
So
I just wanted to connect with how we started this video with all the conversation Kavita and I have had over the years, and how we were like inspired to we heard record this.
yes.
These are the kind of conversations that we're connecting the dots, but nobody gets to, or previously nobody would get to hear it. And I was like, this is so much fun. Really, this is so much fun, right?
Yes. And
This
I
is
do
our
get a
fun.
lot of joy. Yes.
Yeah.
I do get a lot of joy in connecting the dots. It makes me giggle like this. So definitely it's one of my superpowers in seeing, oh, there it is. She's doing it again. And here it is. And so I mean, even though Anna's doing it, she's like all in, and sometimes she may not realize it. Oh, here it is. I'm playing out all these things in all these ways.
Yeah.
So, and maybe the same for you as well, right? Whatever you're doing. So Coming back to even more tension and the energetic part of it, um, tension is meant to be held until that finish date or whatever it is, that finish line. But sometimes you don't know when that finish line is, right? Like you may say, okay, I want to live in a different country, right? And there are so many dynamics of that. You can't in this moment honestly give a specific date if you are unclear in certain things, right? The more you get clear on what you really want, though, you come from that creator energy and say, okay, I'm doing it by this date, right? So again, it's to recognize where you are in this. So whenever there's fuzziness or uncertainty or you need clarity for anything, that in itself, recognize if, okay, I need to know this, like I need to get clear and make this decision now. Like that's where the clarity is really going to come from. Like I know a decision needs to happen now. I may not have all the dynamics of it, but a decision needs to be made. And so, what is the truth of that decision? That decision may be that you put yourself in a space where those resources are made available for you. So you make the bigger decision, right? I mean, seriously, you can't like apply for a visa if you have no idea what the rules are, right? You do need some resources in that kind of case. Um, and then you get to decide what you really want. Um, also see like, you're doing this no matter what. So you see what's required of yourself as well and that kind of stuff. But the information that's coming to you, it's not the case to be like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore, or maybe I should do this. That's not how information serves. So let me be clear on that part. So you're having a little bit of an additional factor in how you make choices and decisions. The truth comes from your intuition, right? Like that this is the thing, this is what you choose. The information shows up to support it or to fine tune it. And what I mean by fine tune, it may look like it's not supporting it. Oh, this is not working, whatever. Like, okay, well, what is it that I really want? Then maybe this is not the place for that information. Maybe it's somebody else, something else, and you go there. But it's not a case to go like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore, right? Um, you're already on the path anyway. And as much as you, let me talk about the collapsing the tension part. As much as sometimes we freak ourselves out, right? Think of it of us being in the horror house again. We freak ourselves out and we want to run like, oh, get me out of here. Try to go back from where we started and to do something else. Like Anna pointed out earlier, it doesn't work because there's a journey that started that needs to be completed, and you running backwards is actually creating even more tension, right? And to make this into a practical example, it can be like, well, this is how the arguments and the conflict start, because you've dropped the collapse of tension, you're running away from the thing that you needed to complete, and then everything that you're running back towards is no longer serving you. It's kind of gotten outdated. So you're like, I don't like this. Why is this person giving me a hard time? I mean, these might be voices that you say in your normal reality if it is that you don't recognize that's what's happening, right? Because all those things are actually pushing you back to go that way, right? So it will become counterproductive. Some of us don't like to hear that, but that's how the energetics of it work, really, you know? Um, because what's really happening, your higher self has already recognized the end result of this thing is meant to serve you. And that's a done deal. We've already decided on that. Your human self is like, really? Do I have to do that? Maybe I should do it an easier way. Maybe there's a shortcut. Maybe I don't have to, right? And you create all these other mini games and drama in your life rather than just taking it to the finish line, right? And again, it's if you did, if you really did see this from your higher consciousness, you would not indulge in these games.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do see it from our higher consciousness and we still indulge in these games. And the reason that happens is because the way the human body is conditioned and wired to work, it's meant to put safety and security as our first priority so that it doesn't die, right? Because then you can't do what you need to do in the body, right? As your higher consciousness. So that's its first priority. Your higher self knows, right? What the thing that needs to be done to get you the outcome anyway. And sometimes because it's a stretch, for the most part, it's usually outside of your comfort zone. It's something that you've not faced or you did face and you ran from it. Um, that's where it is. And it has nothing to do with you dying, but to your human, it feels like that because it cannot, it doesn't know what it looks like. It looks like uncertainty. It looks like the unknown. And anything that is the unknown looks dark and scary. And therefore it will by default try to not have you move forward. Go ahead.
So I love what you're saying, and then I see so many people around me who are staying in relationships where they're not happy. They're staying in work where they're not happy. They sometimes allow their body to be in a way where they are not happy, right? Because like just a super simple example, if you want to lose weight, you have to hold the tension in terms of not going back to the old behaviors and habits that made you put on the weight that you don't want to keep anymore, right? So holding the tension means for a certain period of time, ideally long term, changing habits, right? But for a short term, maybe more radically, that you long term do not have to keep in the same way, right? But you have to be a bit more strict with yourself and say, all right, this is what I want and this is where I'm at. So I'm not going to revert back to the chocolate as the safety thing. It's like, oh, no, not safety. I mean comfort thing. Right? And so the same with the other things. Like on a personal note, when some of my neighboring friends found out that me and my ex-husband when we were separating, I had so many women come up to me and say, Anna, if I'm really honest, I should do the same thing, but I'm scared. I can't do the thing you're doing. And to me, I'm like, so there are so many people who are not, they're human, do not believe that they can do this thing. So they're choosing to revert back. And does that mean that their relationship with their husbands get better because they choose to stay? No, they're just dissatisfied. And when the woman is dissatisfied, there's no way that the man or the kids can be happy either. So really, it's instead of doing the thing that may sound or I mean, sometimes it doesn't even have to be a separation or a divorce, but it means it's doing something. It's doing something, looking at yourself ideally first, but that is also a lot of discomfort in looking at yourself, because sometimes you may have found your validation through someone else, seeing your self-worth through the lens of someone else or the mirror of someone else. Someone else says that you're wonderful and beautiful and all these things, and your self-worth is not coming from within but from without, or not without, from the outside, right? So
And And there's so much of that. Like,
Your they're not working. It's wobbly. Yeah.
I
Some,
will change. You're hearing
okay,
it now?
now it's better. What did you
Okay,
do?
good. I don't know, but I didn't do anything.
Okay.
I just looked at the settings and then I was choosing to change it because here is what I did. I didn't do anything physically. I looked at what happened and I'm like, okay, the desire is to have the earphones work anyway so that you hear me. So
Yeah.
I wasn't attached to if it was this or I'll find another one, whatever it is. So it was a non-issue, and
Yeah.
because I was choosing to get it done no matter what, this one worked. So
Yeah.
this is what Anna means when she says it doesn't even have to be a divorce or a separation.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to jump through the loops in order to make it happen,
Yeah.
but it's from a point of choice. Like once your choice is pure and you're doing it with the remembering what it is that your commitment is towards the goal, the finish line. And again, not from an energy of I need to control all the dynamics of that, or in terms of I and my human. I want it this way. If it works any other way, it's no. But from your higher self, you're like, well, these are my standards and requirements. This is what I'm choosing, and then of course, all the things come into play to make it so, right? Um, so that's what happens. When Anna and I talk, one of us is usually manifesting the thing that we speak of. Anna would normally have the memo for us and do it before I would, do it from my perspective. And it's all amazing. And that's why we're learning in our humans so fast as well. And we're always up leveling. That's the game,
Yeah.
you know. Um, so yes, you get to see this on a very practical level. And you might think, but that was earphones. Anna's talking about divorce. Energetically, it's the same energy, right? Even as we talked about what this looks like on that tiny thing, you get to apply it as well in your business. For instance, okay, I'm choosing to show up in this way on the planet, and I'm choosing to uh, teach or mentor or coach these things because I am amazing at them, right? This is my field of genius, and this is what I get to bring to the planet. And while I may not be the only person who is doing this on the planet, this is my combination of the ice cream. People want this flavor of me. So there are certain people who will be, this is what I want, and I want it from Kavita, I want it from Anna, right? Or how do I combine Kavita and Anna and have that flavor, right? That's also a choice that people
Yeah.
get to have. So this is what you're choosing. And then you get to decide what that looks like and the finish line of that, right? But if your finish line is coming from normal, traditional human ways and be like, well, I'm doing this because I want to make $1 million in my business. Like that's why I'm doing it. That's not your truth. That's a byproduct that happens as a result of you doing it, but it's not your why, you know? And it's for you to get into the energy of purity of that desire. And so it helps when the tension shows up in your business that you're able to navigate that really well and to recognize the spaces where you might be making yourself a victim to circumstances and feeling like you're out of control and you're attached to your human expectations of things, or uh, things might be happening and it's an up level, but in your human consciousness alone, you are ill equipped to handle or even uh, maintain that new frequency of that up level. And all those voices that come up as a result, and the way in which we self sabotage ourselves, or we beat ourselves up and become critical and all these things that we do, which I'm sure we've all experienced on different levels. If that becomes the thing that happens that trips you up, then that's another story by itself. And actually, that part of it is also there to support you in your journey towards higher consciousness and evolution and the goal that you're saying. It's all intertwined. You can't separate one from the other. So you get to make your choices within that space. And if it is that you choose to be supported because you find yourself looking at your life only from your human awareness and you're not able to tap into your higher consciousness and your intuition in a way that can help you navigate this space, um, from a place of feeling true to yourself, then of course, we also have spaces to support you with that if that's a desire that you want to have. So I'm putting that on the table because, um, Anna and I have found that there is a beautiful way in doing this yourself. And then for some of the things that you face, you really cannot do it on your own if you're blindfolded. It comes down to that. You do need somebody to show you or to point out the glitches, right? But never from a place of taking your power away. They're just pointing out the things. You get to see them. And of course, once you are now more aware, you get to run with it and to create the other parts of your journey, um, and to up level from that level of the game into the next level of the game. So this is the thing that brings us joy, like Anna says. Like, we're laughing so much about it, and we love seeing the truth and connecting the dots and seeing, um, sometimes how silly our choices can look like, from our human space, when you're really looking at it from the eyes of truth. It becomes really funny and absurd. Like, really, I chose that? Why would I choose that? Um, and it's a beautiful gift for me having that kind of response by giggling to your humanness. Already shows how much you see and how much you've integrated, and you're more empowered to really take the next step from your higher consciousness. So that's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm feeling. And
and really everything just feels so much more, it is fun. It is exhilarating in a completely new way. It's freedom. It's so many beautiful things when you really choose to step into, I don't know, it feels like I'm using old words when I'm saying the bigger version of you, but basically the higher self, the God version of you, where you get to decide what you want, really what you want. And it's just so much fun.
yes, the game that Anna and I have chosen is making the impossible possible.
Yep.
And we have so much fun doing it. And even as we look at each other, there is so much of a reminder of it, because we have shifted our realities many times over from the time we met to where we are now.
Yeah.
So much has happened. Living in different spaces, even, meeting each other, all the things that we thought were impossible, you know. And now we're in a space where there are really no limitations unless we
Create
say
them.
that. Yes, if we say it so. Unless
if we agree to it.
Yes, yes. So I'd love to know what comes up for you as you hear this. What are the challenges that are currently on the table for you in your reality, in your business, in your life? What are the parts that you had your aha moment with? And what are the parts that made you probably wrinkle your forehead and be like, "Oh, what? What is that?" I'd love to hear more about that, or that doesn't quite fit with me. And you ask a deeper question.
Yeah. And where have you been avoiding the tension?
Yes, for
That
sure.
is a super important question as well.
Yes. So that would be your assignment at the end of this video, to really document where you're avoiding the tension. And if it is that, as you write that, your intuition will also show you how to, what's your next step in dealing with that. And if that doesn't happen, if you're not hearing your intuition, then also make a note of that, because there are some other energetic layers that's blocking you from tuning into that part of you. So then it becomes a two-part homework for you. All right. So thank you for being here and enjoying the conversation, enjoying the ride, enjoying the journey, and also up leveling your awareness. Love you all. Bye.
Bye.